Welcome to 5 Points of Articulation, where I review action figures and then articulate 5 points to help you decide if you want to add that figure to your collection. The 5 points I discuss are packaging, presentation, poseability, playability, and price. I'm Jason, and if you enjoy my content, please like, share, subscribe, do all the YouTube rigmarole. The end of April is halfway to Halloween. To celebrate, we're going to have some very special, very spooktacular reviews, and what better way to kick it off than DC Direct's Return from the Grave, DCeased Superman. Starting off the packaging, and I honestly thought I would never see one of these again. This box is functionally identical to all the DC Essentials boxes that came before. We got DC Direct down here, name up here, foiled logo in the corner, and a number in the other corner. DCeased logo up top, nothing to see on this side. On this side we get a name and a product shot, and on the back we get a write-up and the other figures in the wave. If you're curious about the write-up, pause here. You'll find that it's the exact same as the DC Essentials of before. Side note, the early waves had DC Collectibles branding, but toward the end of the run, the company reverted back to DC Direct. There's actually only one significant difference between the two: the bottom. While the OG box has kept it simple, the new one is pretty much the same as a DC multiverse. It even says Todd McFarlane Productions on the box. On that note, for anyone who's interested, here's the barcode. I've always had a soft spot for this box, and McFarlane Toys has done a great job of carrying the torch. For packaging, DCeased Superman gets 1 whole point. Moving on to presentation, and DCeased Superman stands at 6 3/4 inches. First things first, this line was announced and up for pre-order before the axe came down on DC Direct. Even so, these figures were unmistakably manufactured by McFarlane Toys. You can tell because Todd McFarlane Productions has been sculpted into the leg. This suggests to me that McFarlane might in fact have access to every DC Direct mold. As for this mold, let's see how he did. At a glance, the body is identical to the DC Essentials Superman that came before. The hands, of course, have been replaced with the zombie ones we saw last time. Flipping them around, and the cape looks the same but is in fact different. While the original was cast in a nice flexible rubber, the new one was cast in a very rigid, very heavy plastic. Sculpt-wise, the only real difference is the head. Zooming in, and this does look pretty cool. We got some bloody gashes on his cheeks, some deranged, iced-over eyes, and a gaping, gruesome maw. A splash of blood was spritzed around the logo, but otherwise you really couldn't tell this was a zombie. If you look closely, there's a slight amount of dirtiness to his boots, but not much. But one good thing that McFarlane did was finally go in and paint the belt loops. As much as I like this figure, that always annoyed me. Sadly, Todd did not take this opportunity to give him peg holes, and no, I am absolutely not going to drill them myself. One curious difference is the S-shield. This right here is unmistakably Superman shield, and the new one looks kinda funky. As thrilled as I am to see a new DC Direct figure, my biggest complaint is the same complaint I had for the other DCeased figures, that the extent of the zombification is just a new head and some blood splatters. Imagine a zombie Superman with his costume tattered and chunks of his body missing. I get that this is designed to just be an easy repaint, but it also feels like there's a lot of untapped potential. For presentation, I'm giving DC Superman half a point. Moving on to poseability, and all DC Essentials figures have the same basic articulation, but it's still a good opportunity to revisit it. From the top, and the head's in a ball joint and a disc hinge. You can look up this far, which is absolutely incredible, and completely bury the chin. No real tilt, unfortunately, but all the way around. Swivel hinge shoulders raise up just under 90 degrees, bicep swivel, double jointed elbow, and wonderful swivel hinge wrists. They raise up this much and down this much. Shifting to the torso, and we have an ab crunch and a waist swivel. He can hunch over this far and arch back that far. Utilizing both the ab crunch and the neck joint, he can get into a great flying position, and again he can swivel. Below the waist, and Superman has ball jointed hips. They kick out this far and do a perfect split. Not gonna lie, that does make the paint look kinda weird. Moving on down, and Superman has thigh cut, double jointed knee, boot cut, and ankle balls very similar to DC Multiverse. They swivel, hinge, and pivot. One thing you can't fault the DC Essentials figure for is articulation. Now that McFarlane has it, I kinda hope that he'll apply some of these ideas to DC Multiverse. I'm still not crazy about the ankle balls, and I do wish that the feet had peg holes, but for poseability, I'm giving DC Superman 1 whole point. Before we continue, just a quick reminder that we're currently giving away a Titan Joker Megafig to one lucky subscriber. We're also giving away Robin from Infinite Frontier. For more information, check out those videos at the end of this one. Moving on to playability, and nope, not one single accessory. Luckily, playability is more than just accessories, it's also about how well your figure plays with others. First things first, here he is with the regular DC Essentials Superman, but for a quick journey of other Superman figures at different scales, here we have DC Universe Classics. Surprisingly, their S-shields are very similar. This one is from the history of the DC Universe line by DC Direct. Aside from some of the articulation choices, this is one of my favorite Superman figures. Here we have the new 52 by DC Collectibles. For those who don't know, DC Collectibles was just a rebranding of DC Direct. This one is from the DC Designer Series Lee Bermejo collection by DC Collectibles. I picked this one because I thought that the paint scheme and baggy costume looked a bit more zombie-like. You know, something like this. Honestly, I think this looks way better. Fair warning, you might have to get a little bit creative with the pegs. Moving over to McFarlane, and we have the DC Multiverse Action Comics 1000 Superman. Here we have Superman the Infected. This kinda looks like a zombie. Here we have Superman from DC Rebirth. Here we have Superman from The Dark Knight Returns. Kinda felt I had to zoom out for that one. For my most recent Superman review, here we have the Solar Suit version from the Lois and Clark comic. For a movie-style Superman, here he is with Christopher Reeve by NECA. And here he is with Henry Cavill. For some DCeased comparisons, here he is with Green Lantern, here he is with Aquaman, here he is with the Joker, and here he is with Batman. Netherworld's finest. That said, here he is with the non-zombie version of Batman. But for even more Batman, here he is with DC Rebirth by McFarlane, and here he is with Batman from the Three Jokers. For another DC Essentials comparison, here he is with the Flash, but for the sake of scale, here he is with the Flash from DC Multiverse. Here we have Wonder Woman from DC Essentials, here we have Wonder Woman from the new 52, this one's by DC Collectibles, but for a McFarlane comparison, here's the Wonder Woman designed by McFarlane himself. For just a few more allies, here we have the DC Essentials Supergirl, here we have 90 Superboy from DC Universe Classics, and here we have Martian Manhunter from Brightest Day. For some villain comparisons, here we have General Zod, here we have Superboy Prime. Zombies, really? How hackneyed. And here we have Lex Luthor in his Superman-inspired battlesuit. That said, I would suggest that this Mattel version actually scales better. And on that subject, here we have the Walgreens exclusive Bizarro. I think that a clever customizer could probably mix and match some parts to make a DC Essentials version of the character. And if you want to see that head swap, here you go. A little paint would go a very long way. For an all-American hero from the House of Ideas, here he is with the 20th anniversary Captain America. But if you like your Cap a bit more gruesome, here he is with the bootleg Marvel Select Colonel America. Here he is with the bootleg Zombie Hulk. This would be a fun fight to see. And here he is with the bootleg Zombie Spider-Man. And speak of the devil, for a relative scale comparison, here he is with Pizza Spidey and the Spectacular Spider-Man. And of course, here he is with Stealth Iron Man. What really sells this figure is your ability to mix and match him with your other DCeased zombies. If that's a collection that you want to build, then this Superman's a great addition. If not, I think I can safely say that you can let this Superman stay buried. For playability, I'm giving Superman half a point. This leaves us with nothing left to discuss but the price. I got DC Superman on Amazon for $30. I'll be honest, I mainly bought this because I was really curious how well McFarlane was going to handle the transition. By no means do I hate the figure, but at $30 I am a bit disappointed. And with all the upcoming offerings just being more DCeased figures, I'm kinda worried that this is all we're going to get. Just a bunch of half-hearted rehashes of things that came before. On the one hand, I'm happy to have DC Direct back. On the other hand, to quote a classic movie about bringing things back from the grave, sometimes dead is better. For price, I'm giving DC Superman half a point for a grand total of 3.5 out of 5. To check out the Titan Joker or Robin giveaway videos, click here, and thank you so much for watching. I'll be back again real soon, but until then, play nice and have fun.